Hello everyone, my name is Rexol. I'm a completely unknown Granblue enjoyer who has found something pretty fun, namely a build involving this dapper gentleman, Eugen, the generic sniper guy, who has a certain master trait tree that turns him from generic sniper guy into what's actually the most fun I've had in this game since I started playing it back in vanilla. So if you like explosions, if you like shouting Shoryuken and making monsters explode, did I mention explosions? Actually, if you main Mega Man in Smash Bros, this is a pretty good pickup for you as well. This guy has a mastery trait tree. It is called Grenade Punch, and that is exactly what it is. And I thought I'd make a small video showing you what this build is all about and why it's so fun. But before I go into the nitty-gritty of things, I want to start with a small disclaimer and then give you some pros and cons of the build and why you might want to try it out. So the disclaimer is I have actually, because I love theory crafting on my own, I have not consulted with other people, I have not looked anything up. There might be things missing in the video. There might be errors. In that case, they're completely mine. But I have done quite a bit of testing and research. I believe what I say is solid. I just want to put that out there. For the character itself, on the numbers side, he actually outputs surprisingly good DPS. But what he really excels at is stun. I'll show you some meters in a bit, but the stun values are actually quite crazy, which is really nice against all those hard fights where you need to stun check the boss as fast as possible. He also requires very little ramp up for his damage. By that I mean that he does not have a long build up period before he can output his DPS, which means that in an actual fight, if you play well, you will have good DPS uptime. You don't risk losing your damage because the boss flies away or goes into an invulnerable phase. But despite that, the playstyle is still very interactive. You have a lot of on-the-fly decision making and positioning that is crucial to output this high DPS. Otherwise, he will feel quite weak. So there's still a pretty high skill ceiling, I would say, despite the spec not requiring you to stack things for minutes before you can output crazy damage. He also has two dots. This is not a dot spec, I want to get that out there. Most of the damage will come from actual damage, but he does have dots, and the DPS from those are between 10 and 20% in most of my fights, so it's not insignificant. And that also means you will continue to damage the boss when it's flying or in those untouchable phases, which is quite a nice thing. Yeah, and also you uppercut stuff and it explodes and dies. That's fun. For cons, against enemies in Bloodthirst, as I will show you in the fight example later on. Oh yeah, I will have a fight, an example fight where I show you some stuff as well. Against enemies in Bloodthirst, that is when they take blue damage. You actually cannot stick your grenades to the boss, which gives you less stun and DPS, but it's still quite solid, especially the stun. He's also very dependent on positioning and making the right decisions. You will lose a lot of DPS if you screw that up, probably more than other more straightforward characters. And that brings me to last point. He has no actual defenses in his kit. If you get hit, you will get hit hard, and you don't have any ways to cheat death. You don't have any mirror image. You don't have anything to stop you from taking damage. So you need to play him pretty solidly, or you probably will die. Yeah, that's about it. Let me show you a thing or two about the actual gameplay. No, wait, I lied. I was going to show you numbers. Here are numbers. I know you love numbers. So here are just some example logs from random games I played with people from the Discord and such. As you can see, damage is solid. I mean, it's not Fedial level solid, but it's up there. with most of the competitive characters. But if you look at the stun values here, you see that they are consistently like 50% to even 100% higher than any other character. Look at this 46 stun per second, which is insane, actually, in my opinion. Here, double. Yeah, you can see the stun. It's crazy. While also doing competitive DPS. I mean, here we have a Zeta, a known high damage character. Narmaya, Frau, they're not slouches. And obviously, varies with player skills. I probably wouldn't beat the best Zeta or the best Narmaya, but yeah, damage, it's good. Just wanted to show you that before we continue. Now, on to the gameplay. Yay! Unless I forgot something else. Let me just start with showing you what the spec is about. Let's go into practice here. So, for those of you who, like me, before I found this, have never touched this guy, probably not so uncommon. He can do some stuff. He can shoot, he can throw grenades, and this spec is built around the grenades. So the basis of it is you throw a grenade, and normally I think you shoot the guy and the grenade explodes. As you can see, that doesn't happen here. At least I think that's how it normally works. I have actually never played anything else than this spec with this guy. But this tree instead makes you, as the name implies, punch your grenades. You stick a grenade, you walk up to them, now you can do melee attacks. They blow up the grenade. That's the basis for the spec. Grenades come in two kinds. As you see on my Y button here on my controller layout, it's just called grenade. That's if you tap the button, he does a small back roll and he throws grenade a short distance. If you are too far away, he will not reach the monster and it will just explode when it hits the ground. But if you hold the button, you see it turns into grenade plus and you get this aiming reticle. This grenade deals a lot more damage. It still sticks to the enemy, but for much higher total damage. There is actually another way to also throw these grenade plus, and that is what we are going to use in this build. If you hold your shooty button, X in my case, you go into sniper vision, where you can freely aim. If you tap the grenade button here, you see it says grenade plus from the start. That means you are freely throwing these powerful grenades without having to hold and charge them, and you also avoid the annoying back roll. Now if you throw a grenade on an enemy, as you see here on Mr. Barreled, it sticks. If you throw it on the ground, it explodes for a pretty wide AoE radius. You can still hit the poor guy from over here, as you can see. But they actually deal more damage when they stick. So that is what we're going to use here. So the game plan is get grenades on enemy, go up, punch enemy. What I found though when playing him is that these punches are actually not very reliable because you need to be very close to the monster. And it actually seems to count, you see already here I'm shooting instead of punching, and it actually seems to count the middle of the monster. That means if it's a big dragon or something, then most of the time you're probably just going to be out of range even if you're running into the model. There is, however, a way around this. I mentioned Shoryuken before. If you do a jump and input an attack, he will shoot. If you do a jump and immediately input an attack, he will actually uppercut. Just like a certain gi-clad fighting game character. This also counts as a melee attack. So you see if I throw my grenades here, roll to cancel it, and then uppercut. Everything explodes. And this is where I start falling in love with this character. So the basic game plan of this spec is you want to stick 3 grenade plus on the enemy, preferably 3, and then detonate them in one of a couple of ways that I'm going to talk about soon. But the most important is this uppercut. So before I show you more about how to play it, I've got to show you some of his master traits that are relevant for this. So as we can see here on the general style description, blah blah blah, lots of text. Grenades deal a lot more damage. So, but they can only be detonated by melee attacks. There is also a debuff. It is applied if you detonate 2 or more grenades at once, and it will inflict something called shell shock. It makes the grenades deal even more damage. So in the tree we have a few other things. We have a lot of useless stuff as always, but these are pretty interesting. So here's the first one. Armor piercing round can now detonate grenades. That's one of his skills. We're going to get back to that. The other one is intercept. That's another skill. Can also detonate grenades. And then finally we have melee attacks that deal increased damage. So actually detonating with melee deals more damage than detonating in any other way. So what this means in practice is that we have 3 ways. We have the one I mentioned, melee. We have the skill called detonate, armor piercing round. It shoots a random hail of bullets. This also detonates grenades. And finally we have the skill called intercept, which is sort of a dodge attack, where you dodge backwards, shoot your shotgun, and it also explodes the grenades. So, and you notice now this guy is burning. As a side effect of using intercept to trigger the grenades, we also put the dot burn on the enemy. So this gives us a gameplay loop where you want to go into sniper vision as often as possible. You can actually cancel the shot from sniper vision by holding X just long enough. I just press it for half a second or so and I let go of it. And this won't make you waste time shooting a shot. From here we want to throw at least 2 grenades, and we want to detonate it in some way, like for example with intercept, like that. Now you see the thing has shell shock and burn. And this is basically the game plan. We want to cancel out of this sniper animation with a roll, and then we want to preferably use a melee attack. And as you can see here, if I just do the full uppercut, it's quite slow. It's really cool. It's quite slow. What we can do is, as soon as we start the attack, it becomes active. You can instantly dodge cancel this, like that. So the gameplay loop is get into sniper, throw 3 grenades, roll in, uppercut, dodge. Look cool. Enemy dies. It's really nice. What we can also do is, if we're at range and you can't reach the enemy in time, you use intercept. This deals less damage. Only melee attacks get the amplified damage, but it does put burn on the enemy. It also makes you able to detonate grenades from wherever you are. This has a long range. I haven't seen it miss due to range, as long as the boss is actually on the ground yet. The third way is armor piercing round. So before I go into the build, I want to show you some tricks with this spec. So if you can, let's say I'm actually right up next to the boss and I'm in sniper mode, I can actually go immediately into my uppercut from sniper. That didn't go right. If I'm here, I can actually input this like that. You don't have to go out of it. You don't have to roll out of it if you're close enough to the boss. There is another tech I want to show you. If the boss is standing still for an extended amount of time, this is a bit hard to show on barrel because it's a very tiny target, but against basically even the infinity bosses, even though they're humanoid, they have bigger hitboxes. It works on nearly all of them. If the boss is standing still, this is during a link time, during an SBA chain, or if it's just, you know, it's going to stand still for a while, you can use armor piercing rounds to get you throw 3 grenades, initially use armor piercing rounds to detonate them, and then go back and throw more grenades. And hopefully, as you see here, they keep detonating when the shells hit the robot, whatever, dummy. So that is actually a really good way to have high DPS when the boss is stationary. I will show you a gameplay clip in a bit, and I will use that a lot in that fight whenever there's an opportunity. But yeah, this guy actually has some skills. Imagine that. Some of them are actually even useful. I've already talked about armor piercing round and intercept. He also has a venom grenade. It basically just puts a dot on them. Also inflicts defense down 10%. That's pretty useful. This dot is actually, it lasts for a long time. And if you remember, if we trigger intercept, we also get a burn. He has 2 dots, and with a bit of investment, let me show you what this looks like when he actually takes dot damage. With a bit of investment, these dots actually hit for quite a bit. So if we start with the poison, you see that it now ticks for 700k. Add the burn to that, that ticks for another almost 600k. So that is 1.3 million damage every time it ticks, and you see it ticks quite often. This adds up. So even though this is not in any way a dot build, it's actually worth it to invest a bit in attack power. Dots, other than doing just passive damage while you're fighting, also has the advantage of hitting the boss wherever it is, including up in the sky or doing whatever other shenanigans where you can't actually damage it. So that actually brings me into his build. I am sorry if this is a bit messy, by the way. I'm doing this entirely without a script because I'm a lazy bastard, but hopefully it is still informative. So for summons, I have the standard sort of endgame thing. The Echoes, Stout Heart, War Elemental. Actually, if you don't have these on Eugen, compared to any other character in the game, this actually is not a drawback at all. Because, as you will see when I open my gear screen, you actually want orange sigils on this guy. This is because we use dots. The dots are not the main part of this damage, but they're typically between, like, I want to say 10-20% of my DPS in any given fight, and that is quite a big chunk. So we want to stack attack. As you can see, I have 318 attack on this guy currently. So what I've done for the skills... Oh yeah, and that also means actually on his Terminus, which we want to use for maximum damage. It's not that hard to play, so you can get away with Terminus for sure. I actually run Tyranny. It lowers your health, it gives you a bunch more attack, which increases your dot damage. Other than that, I have standard 3 stun power with various stuff. I have 3 defensive sigils. That is enough for me to stay comfy and survive. You can add more if you want, but you're going to lose dot damage. I run Immortal Shell. It's actually really good, and as you can see, I'm not running any of his personal sigils because they're all completely useless for this spec. One of them increases grenade damage, which would seem great, but it's before damage cap, so and you are going to reach like 1000% damage cap, so it doesn't do anything. One makes you shoot faster in sniper vision. You don't shoot, so it's useless. And the last one makes you deal enhanced damage with your gun and grenades, actually, if you detonate them in sniper mode, which you can't in this spec, so it's also completely useless. So none of his personal sigils, which means we have room to run Immortal Shell with no loss, really. It's good. Go collect those crabs. And then you notice I have 5 orange sigils. This is to boost his attack even further. This is one of the few characters you actually want to do this on. Other than that, it's just standard stuff, you know, Celestial Lumen, Ventus, damage cap to max, supplementary to max, the Echoes, Aqua, Fatebreaker, War Elemental, and then whatever comfort you want. Cascade is really good. He triggers it a lot, and you use the skills a fair bit, as you will see in combat. Nimble Onslaught is always nice. I have a bit of Aegis on his right stone to compensate for Tyranny. I run 1 greater Aegis for comfort, so I'm close to 200k HP. Stronghold Steel Nerves, improved dodge. Untouchable, actually. This one is interesting. He dodges a lot, and you want to be able to go from melee to ranged back and forth. So having extra dodge range, especially since he has sigil budget to put it on, is really nice. Firm Stance, I always have it on. Most of the bosses have some kind of pull thing. Potion Order, Auto Revive. I do not actually have Guts. I can't fit it in, but I'll just have to play good instead. Immortal Shell, yeah, we talked about that. Stout Heart. Basic build, but with the main difference that you have the orange sigils first and not the defensive ones. So you get that extra attack. Let's have a look at his master traits. Skills. Oh yeah, I'll talk a bit more about skills first. These I would say are the ones you always want to run is intercept. No question. You can't play the spec properly without it. Armor piercing round I would almost always also have. It's really nice for link time and SBA. You'll see. It also deals a decent bit of stun. So for those stun checks, the best thing you can do is the combo I showed you earlier. Venom Grenade, anything that can actually be dotted, run this. It's so good. The damage is huge. If you're playing Lucilius or anything else that's immune to poison, obviously you can drop it for something else. For his fourth slot, this is pretty interchangeable. I like Paralysis mostly, if the bosses are susceptible to it, because you can break them out of various stuff and also even prolong your damage phase so you can avoid, for example, dragons going into the sky, etc. It's pretty good. Another skill I would actually low-key suggest is the heal. It's just a heal. It's nothing special, but it also heals for like 100k on my 200k HP character. It's really nice because you can play a bit more aggressive, you can tank damage with Stout Heart without worrying, and you can just throw this out when you have a moment and you don't have to spam potions all the time. It's actually a DPS skill in that regard because you can just tank damage, deal a lot of damage, heal it back. Disruptor is a cleanse, removes a buff. I've heard it's useful on certain fights, maybe Hexa, maybe 1-2 more. I haven't looked into it too much. You can probably run that if you want one. Detonator is useless. Sumrak is generally useless. None of these are good for the damage they do. They require you to stand still for quite a while. You will lose DPS using them. Sumrak could be interesting in certain fights where you have to hit multiple objects like Piet A, like CFN. You also have the cards on the world, for example. It can be useful there just to hit a lot of targets at once. I generally don't run it though, unless I'm doing one of those specific fights. So generally these three always bring, except Lucilius. This one I flex. Okay, let's look at his traits. So I'll just quickly go through these. You can pause the video and see what I have in the other trees. So in the first here, it's just basically whatever. You can take most of them. Max HP is nice if you want to offset tyranny. Just put it in if you need it. But for his actual main tree, rank 2, it's actually useful to pick up the attack notes because he uses dots, and dots deal more damage based on your attack and not your damage cap. Same reasoning here. I actually pick up this orange. Sigils give more attack, and that's why I stack the orange sigils in my build as well. Other than that, just pick up all the grenade related skills. X attacks, you basically don't use them. The damage cap is useless. But I do pick up the attack. Same here. Grenade stuff. And damage cap, because why not? You have a lot of points. And more attack is good. Damage cap, you don't use the disruptor, you don't use... I would never run this, personally. Next tree, you have... Here, poison. We use the poison. Take the poison stuff. And damage cap and the general just HP. Same here. Defensive. And just put the points in anything you can here. This is the only one that is useless because the shield is really tiny and the heal is really good. Wouldn't take it. Last tree. Only damage cap here because you take all the poison grenade related stuff. Skill damage cap, why not? This one obviously mandatory. Same here, mandatory. This one is pretty good. I mean, no, it's actually completely useless because we have Start Heart. I don't know, there's nothing else. I guess I can actually do this now that I think of it. Yeah, and then that, self-explanatory, I think. And yeah, and then just like any character, you want an Overmastery with, like, it's not super important. but normal attack, damage cap up, and stun power. Yeah. I think that's it for the build. Actually, have I forgotten anything? I have no idea. I'll put it in the description if so. Hi, Rexol from the future here. I forgot stuff. I really should use a script for this. Anyway, firstly, the thing I didn't say is that this is very important. There is a setting. I only realized this yesterday because I'm stupid. But yeah, if you think his camera is really slow to aim in aiming mode, go to gameplay, camera, and you can actually change the aim sensitivity here. Do that. It makes him so much nicer to play. Note to self. Second thing is, when you're in sniper mode, I told you about cancelling with the roll or like cancelling with an uppercut. That is actually stuff you have to do. You can't walk out of this because the control stick just moves the aiming reticles. So that means that if you have to dodge a lot of attacks, it can actually be quite slow to go like, oh no, the enemy's attacking me, I have to roll, and then you have to go in, and maybe you throw one, and then you have to roll again, you have to go in, etc. This is why you can sometimes actually use this charged grenade plus instead, especially since it moves you. So you can use that if you're standing in big bad red ouchie, roll back, throw grenade, saves time. And on the matter of, or on the topic of saving time, you don't have to stick 3 grenades. You have to stick a minimum of 2 to get the shell shock buff, but that lasts for a while. So following the device of any damage is good damage, sometimes you only have time to maybe do 1 and punch before the boss moves, or before you need to stun it really quickly. So don't be afraid to put just 1 or 2 grenades, detonating it. It can be really good. Another useful tidbit is the grenades are AoE. So usually you can just stick your main target and the explosion will hit stuff around it, but if things are spread out and you want to hit multiple things, you can actually spam grenades into the ground between the two. It deals less damage than sticking them, but it's a much wider radius, so you can use that when you have spread out targets you want to hit all at once. Lastly, when you do the uppercut and you dodge out of it, if you dodge immediately, you will roll away. Even if you do a neutral input, you will dodge away. But if you do it a tad later, actually, it's really hard to do voluntarily, like that. It's easier to do when you hit the enemy. You can actually dodge in place and then you can uppercut it again. If, for example, you're doing the thing where you go directly out of this with like that, you can just keep looping this. Timing can be a bit finicky, but that means you don't have to roll so much. Could be good to know. Now, with all that over with, let me show you an actual fight where I use this. I'm gonna go after the 4 dragons of classical grinding practice of Eugen, and yeah, it'll be a ride. Come along. Okay, finally the thing you've all been waiting for, actual gameplay. Yay! It's me and my frankly rather shite AI team. They're trying their best, let's be kind to them. Against 4 dragons. Ooh, scary. Let's get into it. So normally in a fight what I do right off the bat is poison it, but this guy I just want to break as soon as possible, so I throw my 3 grenades. I intercept the skill to proc them, and then I go directly into my armor piercing rounds combo. As you can see here, when I throw grenades, they get detonated immediately by the rain of bullets, giving me some extra DPS and stuff. I then just do my bread and butter 3 grenades into detonation until the boss goes into overdrive and tries to fly away, at which point I paralyze it to give me some more time to break it out of overdrive. That is something that's quite easy to do on this character because he deals so much damage in stun, so even if my AI is crap, I can still get it to stay grounded. Yeah, here I just keep damaging it, and I will soon try my armor piercing combo again, but the boss moves predictably, so I whiff it. Here I want to show you that one problem with this build is that the uppercut, as you can see there, has quite short range. Let's look at that again. It I think it's about here. You can see here, I try to detonate, but I miss because the boss moves its tail. What you want to do in that situation is find a part of the boss that does not move so much, and try to stick yourself to that. I'll show you more what I mean later. But I'm gonna pause here just for a sec to show you the damage meter. I'm doing 5.4 million DPS here and nearly 45 stun per second, which are quite nice numbers in my book. So he can do some stuff, this guy. Alright, next dragon. I start by doing my standard stuff, apply shell shocked. As you can see, I only throw 2 grenades there to get the burner shell shocked, because I wanted to see what the boss was going to do after. Here I position myself at the back foot of the dragon, which is a really good place for this type of boss model. I apply my poison, I keep doing my detonations, sometimes in melee and sometimes at range, if that is more convenient. I try to paralyze it to stop it from flying, which completely fails, because now it flies away. That's good though, because I want to show you another thing here. Most characters can't really do much in these situations other than dodge, but as you can see here, I can actually just sit here and lob grenades to the sky, and they do about 1 million damage each after supplementary damage kicks in. That is really nice to be able to do when the boss is up in the sky like that. Intercept is good for dodging, exploding 30 grenades, but it can also be really nice for its secondary property, which is actual iframes. As you saw there, I used intercept to dodge through the tail swipe and took no damage. Here I SBA and I do the armor piercing rounds thing to detonate my grenades, while the other guys SBA it. And this should pretty much be it for this dragon, so let's just watch it play out. Cool backflip. For these last 2 dragons, I wanted to show you link time. My AI did not want to do that, so instead they gave me a hard mode fight, as you will soon see. Everybody runs to attack the red dragon except Zeta, who goes for the yellow dragon instead. That means that when I here shortly try to proc link time, it doesn't proc AI stuff. So instead I end up with quite a hard fight on my hands. But that is not bad either, because then you can see how this spec plays when you suddenly have to dodge everything in the world at the same time. I flail about a bit because I figure I could try proccing link time on the other dragon, but as you shall soon see, CFN had other ideas. So now instead I have to dodge a rain of fire while fighting. In situations like this, what I try to do is to proc invincibility from dodging as soon as possible, so I can stay invincible for a few seconds and throw my grenades in peace. As you see here, invincibility, sit in the fire, throw grenades, detonate it. I try to link time again, this time it's Magliel. There I stuck way too many grenades to the dragon. That doesn't do anything, 3 is max, I'm just playing bad. But you can see how useful it is to have the extra dodge range of Untouchable to move around and navigate. Oh look, another failed link time. Who's surprised? But finally, I get it. I don't have armor piercing rounds off cooldown quite yet, so I just do my standard thing. But here, you can see how I just throw my 3 grenades, use armor piercing rounds, and then it detonates every grenade I throw for a little while. It's really nice. That's usually how I play Link Time. Here, I panic because I'm tired, and I just SB8 at 1%. High IQ gameplay. But I did a perfect dodge there, so I regained some of my cool points. Here is another example of me actually using Bloodthirst as a sort of mini DPS phase. I can just throw my grenades at the boss and dodge the occasional attack and keep up damage during this phase even when it's in the air, which is quite a nice advantage compared to many other characters. And with that, the dragon will soon be dead, and I hope you've gotten a bit of an insight in how this spec actually plays on the ground. If you have watched this far, I want to say thank you, and hope that this has made you want to check out this amazing uppercutty, boomy, explodey spec for yourself. It is quite enjoyable, I think, if that wasn't evident from the video. And if you have any questions, just hit me up on Discord. I'm in the Granblue official, semi-official Discord. You can also just ask in the comments here. I'll do my very best to answer any questions or concerns. And with that, over and out from this Eugen lover. Adieu.